You ever sit across from somebody on a first date and realize they're not actually on the date with you? They're running an investigation. I mean, you can practically hear the background music from CSI Emotional Crimes Unit. Instead of enjoying the evening, they're scanning. They're studying the way you pick up your fork, the pause before you answer, the fact that you ordered dessert, all entered as evidence in some private file. She hesitated for 3 seconds when I asked about her last relationship. Dun dun dun! That's clearly unresolved trauma, he's thinking. Or she laughed a little too loud at that joke. Definitely a defense mechanism. Look, I get it. When you're dating after 50, 60, 70, you've lived through a lot. You've seen messy divorces, friends' disasters, horror stories about somebody's boyfriend who hid a whole second family across town. We've been trained to assume that there's baggage hiding somewhere. But here's the truth. Not everybody is dragging a steamer trunk of emotional issues into the restaurant. Some people actually show up fine, steady, normal. And if you go in hunting for the broken pieces, you'll find them, whether they exist or not. So today we're talking about why you don't have to go looking for damage, how to recognize when scars are just part of life, and how to know when somebody's actually showing up pretty healthy. That sounds at all interesting? I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. Some of you approach a date like you're conducting an autopsy. You're not listening to the conversation, you're dissecting. His eye twitched when he said he likes Italian food. Must be repressed childhood memories. It's like you're waiting for the skeleton to fall out of the closet. Truly, I've seen this 100 times with clients. They go in determined to spot the red flags. And sure enough, they come out with a list. Except when I ask what actually happened, the red flags are things like, well, he folded his napkin 3 times very neatly. That feels very controlling to me. Or, she seemed too enthusiastic about the salmon. That's suspicious, don't you think? That's not intuition, that's anxiety. When you go looking for flaws, you invent them. A pause isn't always a lie, a laugh isn't always a mask. Sometimes people just pause. Sometimes they just laugh. Meanwhile, you're missing the actual date that's happening in front of you. The real question isn't what's broken here. The real question is, are they here with me in this moment? Are they engaged, kind, curious? Because let me tell you, nothing kills chemistry faster than somebody treating you like a case file. You want a connection, not a cross-examination. Sometimes all it takes is a good cup of coffee, and suddenly the thing that you've been overthinking just makes sense. That's kind of what it's like being a subscriber here. It's not just about coffee, it's about clarity. So that's why I'm encouraging you to subscribe to the channel. I mean, I'll still be sitting here sipping on my coffee and offering up some common sense as I do. You just need to be able to find your way back here. So hit that button. All right, now we can get back to the good stuff. You see someone's scar at the pool. Do you demand the full accident report? Of course not. But in dating, the second somebody mentions divorced or widowed, it's like people turn into unpaid journalists. So what happened? Who cheated? Did you see it coming? I'll never forget a client who went out with a widower. Lovely man, really. He had good manners, solid eye contact, very confident. By the time the appetizer arrived, she was already grilling him like she was auditioning for 60 Minutes. Oh, really? Tell me everything about her illness. How long? What kind of treatment? What were her last words, practically? It was horrifying. Do you know what he felt? Not seen, not respected, like his life had been reduced to a tragedy file that she could flip through. He obviously didn't ask her out again. A scar means that, yeah, something happened. It doesn't mean it's still happening. And sometimes a scar is just healed skin. And when somebody says, yeah, I was married, it ended, That's often the whole story. They lived through something that they processed and moved on and left behind. It doesn't always come with a dramatic backstory that needs to be unpacked on date one. Definitely not on date one. Healthy people know the difference between what's worth sharing now and what belongs in chapter 2 or 3. And you should know that that's not secrecy. That's called boundaries. Boundaries are attractive. You want somebody who can say, I'll tell you more when the trust is right or when I know you better. That's how you know they're not just dragging you into their attic of old stories. If you've ever said the words, I think your problem is, to somebody that you've known for less than an hour, congratulations, you're playing the role of unpaid relationship counselor. And nobody, I repeat, nobody asked you to. So I once had a woman tell me about a date where the man leaned in after 45 minutes and he said to her, you clearly have unresolved attachment issues with your dad. She told me she almost spit out her soup. Not because he was right, but because who the hell wants their entree paired with a side of with psychology? That avoidant attachment you think you've spotted, maybe it's just nerves. That emotional unavailability you're so sure about, yeah, maybe it's called not oversharing with a stranger you just met online 3 days ago. There's a big difference between curiosity and diagnosis. When you start labeling somebody's behavior like you're in Psych 101, that's not really what connecting's all about. That's analyzing. And nothing kills romance faster than feeling like you're being graded or under a microscope. So instead of asking, how did your last relationship damage you? Try, what do you enjoy doing on the weekend? You'll learn a lot more about who they are now, because at the end of the day, you're not their therapist. You're their date, and nobody flirts well while they're under analysis. Asking a bunch of very personal questions isn't what a connection is. That's what invasion of privacy looks like. Some of you think, well, if they don't share their deepest wounds with me right away, then they're not emotionally available. But no, emotional availability doesn't mean trauma dumping before the entrees arrive. It means that when the relationship feels safe, they're going to let you in. That's normal pacing. That's healthy boundaries. That's not crying into your creme brulee on date one. We've been conditioned by probably television, reality TV, gossip, to believe that every breakup is a scorched earth disaster. Cheating and betrayal, police lights in the driveway. But the truth is, sometimes relationships end very quietly. Sometimes it was just two people who wanted different things. Sometimes it was, we were better as friends. Sometimes it was 12 years of thermostat wars. I once had a client tell me that her marriage ended because she and her husband couldn't agree on retirement. She wanted to start finally traveling, and he wanted to stay home with his garden. That was literally it. No drama, zero, just a fork in the road. So if you assume every ex was a villain, you make the new person feel like they're on trial, that they have to prove they're not secretly hiding a terrible story. And that's exhausting for both of you, honestly. Sometimes the past wasn't a horror story. Sometimes it was practice. And the lessons that they learned in that chapter are the reason that they're showing up better now. That's not baggage at all. That's really just growth. I'm going to say it again for the people who are scrolling Facebook while they're watching this on their television. Healthy people exist. They're not always super loud about it, but they are out there. And when you meet one, it feels easy. That's basically the sign. It's not drama. It's not chaos. And it's not even, wow, this feels like a soap opera. No, it's calm, comfortable, and it feels like you can exhale. Here's the catch. If you're addicted to the idea that everyone has baggage, you'll miss out on these people, because calm is going to feel suspicious to you. Normal will look like a red flag, and you're going to convince yourself that ease is hiding something. Healthy people might have gone through hard things, sure, but they didn't let those things harden them. They grew and they healed and adjusted, and now they're ready. So don't overlook them just because you can't believe they exist. The real red flag isn't buried in the past, it's in how they behave today. And the real green flag? That you feel safe and comfortable and curious about seeing them again. That's the whole point. Not everybody is dragging a luggage cart full of issues through life. Some have a carry on, some have a tote bag, and some people just have chapstick in their pocket and a smile. If you keep assuming the worst, you'll talk yourself out of meeting some of the best people you'll ever know. I hope you found that interesting or helpful. If you did, you might want to check out this episode here. Oh, before you go, please give my little mama the thumbs up. She thinks it's the internet's way of saying, I raised you right. And don't forget to subscribe because honestly, it's easier to hit that button than it is to lug around somebody else's baggage. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and until the next time, have a good one.